Hello and welcome to the Garage Series. My name's Jeremy Chapman.
And I'm Jim Lucy.
So Jim, today we're going to have a special episode and we're going to go back to school. So if you are in education right now, a student or a teacher, we're going to show you how you can use Office 365 in those environments.
Yeah, and if you're a student and excited about mobile technologies, we're going to show you powerful cross-device capabilities with Office 365 that allow you to be more productive and to stay better connected anywhere.
And if you're a teacher?
And if you're a teacher or IT administrator, we're going to show you the evolution of learning experiences and how you can get things done easier and stay connected to your students and peers.
Right, plus I catch up, while I was in Madrid, Spain on location, I catch up with local IT and education service providers to get their perspective on education in Europe. But before we get started, let's have a look at today's trivia question.
True or false? Office 365 supports mobile experiences on all major platforms including Windows Phone, iOS and Android, with experiences spanning Office Mobile, Lync, OWA, SkyDrive Pro and OneNote.
So it's been 2 decades since I went to a university. And back then, I lived in the library, I used things like microfiche or overhead projectors. I thought what would be good is if I invited some 2 recent graduates, Marissa Salazar and Yaya Hawk, to talk about some of their perspectives.
Well, Jim, things have certainly changed since you went to college. I don't spend any time in the library, and most of my research projects are done online, just kind of like how most of my people my generation tend to do social and schoolwork.
And how about you, Marissa? What was your experience like?
You know, one of my biggest concerns when I went to school was making sure that I graduated with the skills I needed to enter the workforce. So when it came to going to class and the technology I was using every day, I wanted to make sure what I was doing there was going to translate outside. Another one of the things that I really found is, like Yaya mentioned, I grew up on the internet, and I expect social communications not only with my peers, but with my classes, my teachers as well. So that openness and effective communication is something I really expected.
Research says that students bring about 3.5 devices on average with them to school and so forth. I'm just wondering, how important is it to bring your own device?
It's really important. I mean, personally I use a Mac, but I know people who use tablets in class or PCs, and it's really important to just be able to focus on the actual learning as opposed to the technology behind it. And you know, you don't want to be tied to one device. Devices break, or there's something new that comes out that you want to get, and it's really awesome to be able to work with whatever device you choose.
For you, Marissa, what were some of the pain points that you experienced in when you were in college?
You know, no matter what kind of class I was taking, I always seemed to be doing group projects. And one of the most difficult things was to find time where everybody in our group had time in a common space to meet up. You know, we all have different class schedules as well as social commitments and, you know, a working schedule. So that was very difficult. One of the other things that I found difficult was, you know, I could take up to 4 classes a semester, sometimes, you know, 10, 12, 15 a year. And every professor always approached their learning differently, how they shared documents, how they communicated with you. So having to relearn that pattern every class was difficult.
And Yaya, what excites you about the potential for learning technologies today?
Well, Jim, I don't believe that learning stops after university. I think you continue to try to strive and learn, and one of the great things is distance learning or online classes, because I can take courses that I would have never been able to take in university and for relatively cheap prices. So it's a great way to continue to learn and expand, you know, my horizons, and I think that's really cool.
Awesome. Well, I thank you guys both. We're going to come back to you in just a minute. Now over to you, Jeremy.
So great conversation. Let's summarize some of the things that we've heard. So we think about all the different needs that our students have today. They have basically a bring your own device need. So they might have something like a phone, a laptop, desktop PC, you know, other different providers of laptops or tablets. They need to be productive on all these different devices. Not only that, but they need to be able to work together. One of the things that Marissa highlighted was the ability to calendar and really see whether her friends and her other co-students were free or busy and could actually meet and work together on various projects. So one of the great things that the cloud can actually give to us is the ability to actually have all these devices connect. And not just connecting to, you know, your files like PowerPoint and Word and in different Excel documents and things that you're working on as a student, but also connecting via email, calendaring, things like calls through Skype or through Link. All of those can be done using Office 365 really at the core. So in addition to all of that as kind of a glue to help connect students and teachers together and really communicate, it can also be brought outside of the borders of that particular university. So right now, we might be in the United States having this discussion, but I could also have a lecture here and have people participate via the cloud over to, say, a location like Belgium, or somewhere else in Europe or anywhere else in the world. And I actually caught up with Jethro Sagers from Belgium to get his perspective on all of this.
Well, actually, it's a new trend within the education world to learn from a distance. So the teacher is at home, the students are at home, and they still want to do their courses. So, for example, with Link and Link Online, we can really give them a virtual classroom where the teacher is at home, puts on his webcam, and actually do a virtual classroom. We record that session, put it on SharePoint Online, together with all the tasks, all the courses, all the things, but even like, for example, with site mailboxes now, we can have every data that's related to a course. If it's done within the university or just online, everything together combined into one course. So it's not just to be at a university anymore. We can be in Madrid while our teacher's in the US and still have an online course, which is really amazing.
And speaking of that, kind of the cross-cultural aspect, we've also got all languages that we're using in Europe, especially.
Yeah.
How do you like the? I mean, what's the support look like there versus maybe some other options that they might be using?
I think one of the big advantages of multi-language support is, for example, in SharePoint, where you can just say, that's my native language, and your completely interface will be in your language. So you don't have to think like, okay, I do it in English and English is my second language. No, it's actually, the interface will be in your mother tongue, and you will get it, you will understand what's in that. A very cool feature, for example, in the Word web app is like the translate feature. You get a document that's not in your native tongue, then you just say translate, and you see it like, okay, that's what in that document. And the translate function in that web app is really cool. It's really working. So I use it a lot, for example, if it's just in a language that's not really mine.
Excellent. So in terms of some of the customer examples, some of the things that you've worked through, what are some of the more interesting cases where you've applied maybe some out-of-the-box thinking to how we can use Office 365 in the classroom?
Well, if you want to use it, for example, in the classroom, what we've, for example, done with the university is build like a SharePoint Online template where every time there's a new class, we just deploy that template. Every student works at the same template, works on the same manner. So if they are transferred from classroom to classroom, everything is the same. So they're still using a really comfortable, really online system, but in a way that's for everybody the same. So it is structured, it's uniform, but it gives you also some features to do customization specific for that course, which gives not only the structure a big benefit, but also the fact that it's specified for you, which makes it a really big benefit.
Excellent. So preparing students, doing everything that we can in terms of getting people ready for the university and for life beyond the university. Something that a lot of people can get a lot of value from. So thank you, Jethro, for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Here in Madrid for the Garage Series.
Absolutely. What a nice scenery.
Thank you.
So I got this new email from my IT administrator letting me know of a few late additions to my class. What I'm going to do is copy those email addresses, and I'm going to go to the sites that I manage. The sites are great, and you can see that I have 3 different classes that I'm teaching this semester. I'm going to go to my Marketing 302 class. This is a great way where I can stay connected with the students in my class. I can share the project templates that I have. I can see my class lectures. I can offer the syllabus. I also have a news feed where I can talk to some of the students and they can ask questions to me. I'm going to type a message to them, welcome to my class. And I have a couple options that I have available. I can choose to send or not send, but I can also add the permissions and the level of control that those students have in the class. So let me share that. And now they get a welcome message welcoming them to the class and to my site. Now I'm going to go to my calendar where I have all my meetings and it can track the time, dates of all my classes. I'm going to go to the Marketing 302 class, which is on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. I'm going to edit the series. I'm going to go to the attendees and I'm going to paste that same list in. And you can see the start time, the duration of my class, any other information that I want to add, and I'm going to go ahead and send that. And this can all be automated, right, Jeremy?
Right, so all of that looked like it was pretty easy from Jim's perspective in terms of getting those sites set up, but if you're in IT, you really want to automate as much as you can, because while Jim's only one man, he might have 999 other colleagues that need to set up the same types of sites and also create those same emails and calendar items for everybody in their courses. So at the end of the day, what you really have is your student. All of our students are happy in my world, and they are part of our directory system. So all of that student data is inside of our Active Directory or whatever directory system we happen to be using at the university. There's probably also a registration system, and all of that data can be tied together because probably within your directory you have a unique binding attribute that you can put between those two students. And then the nice thing is you can take that data together and basically merge that in using automation and send off the calendar requests for all the students to join all their courses so they're not late to those classes. You can also build maybe the SharePoint sites and everything that you might want to do for making it easier for all the different professors and really automate the entire end-to-end, generate also emails to indicate that the students are confirmed in their class and have access to those sites that you've created and have all the different calendar objects via email. So let's see all of this stuff in action. And I'm going to go back to you, Marissa.
So I'm one of those late additions to Professor Lucy's class. So I'm going to go ahead and check on my Android phone here. And I see that I've gotten an email welcoming me to the class. I see that I have permissions to the site as well as this calendar meeting that's going to let me know when the class is. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my calendar so I can see that class along with all of my other schedules. My work schedule was down there.
And so I can also check out my school email from my iPad with the Outlook web app. And I can see that Professor Lucy has added me to his marketing class. And I'm going to go ahead and accept that meeting so that it gets automatically added to my calendar. Go into the calendar and see what other classes I have going on this week, and I'm going to go ahead and accept that as well. And now I can also go into OneNote and start taking notes for Professor Lucy's class. I know that we have an energy drink project coming up, and first deadline, define project, and Marissa, since you weren't in class today, I can actually go ahead and share that with you as well so that you have everything for our project that we're going to be working on together.
So thank you very much, Yaya, for sending me those notes. I missed class today and I might be at home or somewhere else. So I'm going to go ahead and give Yaya a call via Skype. So it looks like he is online and we can talk to each other. Next, I am going to go create a document in SkyDrive Pro. So I'm going to go into my site contents here and create a sub-site. I'm going to call it the Garage Energy Drink Project. This way, me and Yaya can work together in the same place. I'm going to set some unique permissions and create that site. I'm going to go ahead and add Yaya here. If we had any other people in our group, I could add them as well. It looks like I'm just pulling their names from our university directory. So there we go. We have our Garage Energy Drink Project sub-site all created. So I'm going to grab some of these documents that I've already been working with Yaya on offline and put those into the site. So he can access them as well. I'm going to tap into my apps and actually add a task. Yaya was writing down those deadlines before, and I want to make sure that we're hitting all of those deadlines and remember what they are all the time. So I'm going to go and modify my garage project. And right now the timeline has not much on it, but I'm going to add these tasks from Yaya's notes, defining the project. Its due date is September 20th, and that is going to be my job, which is great. So then I'm going to add all of those other tasks, and as I change the dates and add them to the timeline, you'll see the timeline shrinking and adjusting up at the top of the screen there. So I saw this deadline has already passed. Hopefully I've done that already. The creating project overview is due tomorrow. So this way, even though Yaya and I won't be working together in the same space all the time, we'll at least know, the status of our project. So one of those documents that I put into the site was a PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and say we should work on it right now together.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and open PowerPoint in Safari and on my iPad, and it should show up that I'm popped up on your screen as well. There it is.
And I see that he's editing the presentation right now as well.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and change this from marketing campaign to something else. I think, I don't know, maybe project? Let's go ahead and call it marketing project.
Sounds good to me.
So I'm going to go ahead and edit that.
And as he's typing, I can actually see his updates in real time on my screen here. So now that we've made some progress on our project, I'm going to want to kind of schedule a check-in call with our professor and see how it's going. We'll kind of do a review quickly before the project's due. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the calendar and see when a good time might be to schedule that. Right before a due date is October 30th. So I'm going to go ahead and make that time for 2 o'clock. And I can also see, if Professor Lucy and Yaya are both available at that time. We can't meet really in person, so I'm going to make this a link call and add both Professor Lucy and Yaya to the call. Great. And I'm going to actually make sure that this is an online meeting so that I can make the location the link meeting room. And in the scheduling assistant, like I mentioned, I can make sure that Professor Lucy and Yaya are both free. It looks like they both are. I can see all of our calendars here, which is great. Helps me find a good time to discuss the draft project work. And I'm going to go ahead and send that off. So if you guys could accept that meeting, you can see that it shows up on my calendar here on the right, as well as theirs on their phones and computers. So now we are going to all join that call, jumping forward to October 30th at 2 p.m. I'm going to join the meeting on my desktop. So I'm going to actually share out my screen with you guys. It looks like you're both calling in from your phones.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're calling in from an iPhone, and it looks like Professor Lucy, you're calling in from our Nokia Lumia 1020. So I'm presenting via my PowerPoint web app, and that's showing up on both of your guys' phones. So all of my transitions that we had thoughtfully put into this PowerPoint presentation are luckily showing through, and Professor Lucy can get a good idea of what we're doing here. We can even make edits within while we're talking.
So we actually touched on some of these points earlier in terms of being able to open this up for remote and distance learning. Really, in terms of a professor or a lecture, all I really needed to do was turn this on as an online meeting. As long as I have the tools to broadcast that out, I can reach students in Asia and Africa and Europe or other parts of the United States or South America very easily and not be restricted to just my university. So it really opens up new potentials in terms of remote learning as well, using the same technologies that we saw over there. So that really is most of the time that we have for this show, but before we wrap up, let's have a look at today's trivia answer.
True or false? Office 365 supports mobile experiences on all major platforms including Windows Phone, iOS and Android, with experiences spanning Office Mobile, Lync, OWA, SkyDrive Pro and OneNote.
So of course the answer was true. You can use Office 365 on all the various mobile platforms that we saw today.
And what we just went through is the baseline browser experience using Outlook web apps. connecting to Office 365, and all of that's for free.
Great, so that's really business class email for universities, all the file sharing, all the calendaring, all of the greatness that we have with Office 365. So all of this and more can be found at microsoft.com/garage. Be sure to sign up for your trial today if you're in academia. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.